Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of the Outbreak podcast. Guess what? The 2025 edition is announced. If you missed it, let me just fill you in because ticket sales are live as well as the initial lineups, and you need to make plans to be there because this lineup is unbelievable. So first off, we're hosting our first London event on June 13th in Victoria Park in cooperation with the Lido Festival, and we've got Turnstile headlining. Alex G, Knocked Loose, Sunny Day Real Estate, and a ton more. And then we bring it back to Manchester for June 14th and 15th. That's a Saturday and a Sunday, with many of the aforementioned bands, but then plus Slowdive, Denzel Curry, Foxing, Military Gun, Tsunami, Tiger's Jaw, and a ton more. Tickets are on sale at outbreak-fest.co.uk, and I will include a link in the show notes in order for you to easily purchase those. And on top of that, there are payment plans available. So if you're strapped for cash right now, that doesn't matter. You can still go to the festival and enjoy all of the awesomeness, whether it's in London or Manchester. So all of that aside, you have to go to the 2025 edition. I look forward to participating in some way, shape, or form, whether it's live podcasts in London or whether it's just recording more cool podcasts for you. And speaking of cool podcasts, that's what we have this week. We have one of the most thoughtful and inspiring front person in hardcore, Pat Flynn. He sings for Fiddlehead, he sang for Have Heart, and both of them had absolutely electric sets at the 2024 edition. The Fiddlehead set, I would say I liked a little bit more. Not saying that the Have Heart set was boring by any stretch of the imagination, but Fiddlehead had this really interesting energy that I don't know, man. I just love that band so much. So Pat and I discuss a ton of things, including passing the torch to younger bands, making shows count, because Fiddlehead, they don't play very many shows throughout the calendar year. And then Have Heart, obviously, they just did some reunion gigs and that was it. And then a ton more. Pat loves to sit down and talk and chop it up, and this podcast is evidence of it. We're going to be releasing episodes every 2 weeks, and we're going to be continuing into 2025 with some of the other discussions had with, who is it with? Crushed, Stiff Meds. There's a ton of other great conversations that we look forward to bringing you every 2 weeks. And we're also publishing these interviews on YouTube. So if you're watching it on there, thank you. And subscribe to this channel for whatever reason you are not subscribed. And then huge shout out to our main sponsor this year, Squarespace, where you can use the promo code OUTBREAK for 10% off of your first website or domain. And we love to hear feedback from you. Podcast at outbreak-fest.co.uk. I'll include a link in the show notes where you will be able to email any ideas you may have or what you would like to see in regards to this show. So please rate, review, and subscribe to this podcast so you get new episodes delivered directly to your feed. All of those things help, and including sharing it to your friends, because that's the best way that these things get out there in the world. And I think these are important conversations to have around the awesome festival that is Outbreak. So without further ado, let us talk to Mr. Pat Flynn.
I'm Pat Flynn. I sing in a band called Fiddlehead, and my other band, Have Heart, is not back together and just playing a small amount of shows. And probably never going to return again, most likely. They say never say never. So I'm not going to say never, but like, this is it.
I love this because it's the idea that Have Heart is your side project. It's like,
yeah.
it's true. Yeah. Fiddlehead's your band.
Yeah. Oh, I wouldn't even we can call Have Heart. I don't know what Have Heart. Our mentality is we only exist now because when a band, I think it's good for bands to break up. I think it's good for the cycle and growth of hardcore. I don't think every band should break up. I don't think bands have to break up. And I just think it's good when bands formally break up. It's like when you can no longer fit words on a page, or you finish a chapter and the book's still going, then it's time to write a new chapter, and it opens doors for new life. And, I came up 99, I started going shows 1999, and it was like bands would formally break up all the time. There would be some like, are they still around stuff type of thing, but like there was a lot of like formal, we're breaking up. No, we're done. Like, you need to know, like, and there was something interesting of saying, no, the public should know we're done. I like that because it's like, it's not maybe necessarily torch passing. It's just sort of like, we're going to close the door on this and someone else can walk through it.
Yeah.
And we're going to leave it slightly ajar for someone else. You know what I mean?
Of course.
So, and I never had an anti-reunion thing either. I also came up in a time where a short period where bands like the iconic bands did not reunite. The concept of them reuniting was foreign. And then suddenly, lo and behold, Bold announces they're going to play a show at CBGB's. And then they ask us to play. And I was very struck by that when Bold asked us to play, because we were not popular. We were like legitimately not known. This guy, Rich Hall from New York.
Oh yeah.
We played Long Island, and I think he had never even played the city. And I just get this email saying like, "Do you want to play CBGB's?" I was like, "What?"
You're like, "What?" No.
And what they did, it was so gracious of them to do that. And it's because they were like legends, and they came back and they lifted up a small band. And I thought that, and the show was a perfect reunion show at CBGB's for a band like Bull. Completely packed, old heads, young heads. It's just like, it was so great. And so that was a really great experience. But then like a few months later, we played CBGB's again with Bold, and on a Sunday night, and it was with Uppercut. And no, it was a very, like, the excitement was gone. I was excited still, but like, I think people were like, well, it just sort of happened.
The air was lemon.
Yeah. And so I kind of took a cue from that, just in terms of like understanding, like excitement. And I think it was perfectly fine for them to play again, but I just sort of noticed like, well, the excitement's kind of not there. And like, so like, I remember kind of being a student, and I noticed with Gorilla Biscuits, they came back and they did a tour, and then they just went away. And then they came back, right, and did a couple shows, and then they went away.
Yeah.
And so like and the thing is, like, when they play, and like same with like Youth of Today, like when Judge plays, and like it really in the times that I've seen them, it feels like this is really Judge, like, and especially when YOT started having like all like core members, like, that was cool, and it felt like they're really a band right now.
Yep.
And they exist right now, but they don't when they're not playing. And so that's the mentality of Half Heart. We are not a band. We formally announced like our time, like writing and being a part, like an active part of like a community like hardcore punk, is like, like when we were playing, I remember feeling not like we were on like a mission, but like there was like some momentum. We were like, like whatever the ideas of the band were, I wasn't trying to like, you should all take them, but like, we wanted to create an energy in hardcore. One of those was, I didn't like the hardline straight edge stuff of the 90s at all. I liked the very personal Minor Threat, McKay Ian, like, take to it of just being a personal thing. And like, I like that idea, and I wanted to share with people that we encountered the idea of like, but I also loved like the exuberant youth today approach like, like straight edge is
wave
cool.
our flag. Yeah,
Straight edge is cool, but and if it's not, but like 99, that was not the deal. It was like bands writing records called like "Fuck You" on Edge, and like I was like, that's just not for me, and I wanted to put my 2 cents, and so we wrote a song called "Something More Than Ink" that was really about, like.
It's really, I'm impressed I did that when I was 19. It was about like art and the artist. Like, like you can separate the art from the artist, and that's fine. Like, I don't, like, you live your life. The idea still means something to me.
And so those are the ideas I wanted to spread and like or put out there to the world. Spreading sounds like kind of.
Yeah, you're indoctrinating, right?
Yeah. I just want to be like, hey, these are my thoughts, and if you have, guys, take it or leave it. And so, and like, and it was cool, like, I felt like, there's an alternative way to be thinking about hardcore, and I wanted to represent that. And like, we did that, and that still kind of swims in the world, but we're not on tour doing that. And I don't feel like we need to. There's other bands that do it. I don't leave space for that.
Yeah.
So, but look, we enjoy a show, and the reunions last time 5 years ago, it wasn't like we broke up and then for every day
for 10 years we were like, will we do it, will we not? No, it was like 7 months before we did it, our friends were like, hey, we think that this would be positive, and we were like, all right. We were like deadly afraid of how it would go. The venue the night before, like that we had from the Massachusetts area, fell through, and we were like, all right, well then let's just do it in the Middle East, which is this small venue, holds like 500 people. And they were
unavailable. And so like, our friend Bob is like, let's just do it at the Worcester Palladium. And it sold out in like 7 seconds. We're like, whoa. And the Palladium was like, you need to do another date.
Sure.
And I was like, well, we hate playing to the same venue twice, so we'd rather not. Which money-minded people are like, what do you mean?
What do you mean?
Because to us, it's really, not to be like some purist, but like, I hate playing the same venue over and over. It's like,
yep.
It feels like a job. Like, so they're like,
we'll do it outside. We're like, well, that's a lot. We don't want to have like a parking lot that looks like thin. It was like close to 10,000 people came out for a non-festival thing. And I was like, oh, holy shit. And
right.
And then the rest of the shows were really positive.
And we left, and like, we felt good about being there and then staying away. And then, but the thing is like that little run ended in Leeds last time.
Yep.
And it's a little weird for our to think that our last show was in Leeds.
In Leeds, yeah.
Like for someone who's like neurotic like me, I was, but and hardcore is like really like a lot of the hopes that I had for hardcore and being like very well populated, more diverse in its ideas and in its population. That wasn't the case in 99 when really Have Heart was a band, and it feels like that now. And obviously it's not perfectly accurate, but like it feels like it's in a positive place and we're like, and like it's changed, and that's like an even more obvious development in the last 5 years. And someone brought up the idea of us playing, and it's like, all right, but it's got to be quick, in and out. We're not going to try and make a big deal of it. We're not going to be in your face. The people can be the ones making the big deal of it, not us. And that's how we kind of like to do it. So like, like posting, we try not to be in your face about
of course. You just being like, we're here. If you would like to celebrate with us, we can.
Yeah. And I changed my personal account to the Have Heart account, and I was like, because like we were gonna make some posts in a couple of days, and then just that was like some like internet thing, and I was like, shit. But like when these shows are done, that thing's going back to my personal account because I like having me,
of course.
But like it's just about a messaging thing. And last time it was annoying because people would come to my personal account for all things you have are
right.
And I like having a personal account with a larger, like with the following of a mass. So I just like to promote bands. Like cool things that like, I don't see getting a lot of shine and be like, oh, check out this.
Of course.
But I can't really do that on the Have Heart account because then it's like hours. So like, that's going away. I'm going back to that. So like, nobody make a big fucking deal about it because
totally. Because now it's Pat, and that's fine. Yeah.
And, I want to change it now because there's like other bands, and that's not like the Have Heart guys. You can't post that. I just don't feel it.
speaking on behalf. Basically, like before, like the guys in Have Heart, we're all very like try to like really communicate with each other. And like yesterday, we wanted to share the name of this guy discovered named Isolde Adelaide. That was important, and I wasn't just like. I had to like talk to them and be like, would you guys be okay with this? This is the background, but one, they're like, hey, that's cool. So like we try to be formal with each other.
Of course.
So if I'm like, oh, I think everyone should check out this band through the Have Heart messaging piece, they might be like,
what are you doing?
I don't like that band. And so like
Totally.
Yeah. So
yeah, you're trying to be respectful.
Yeah.
A break in the action to talk about our main sponsor that made all of these episodes possible. It is the awesome service of Squarespace. If you're in a band, you're running a record label, you need to have some digital footprint. You can't just rely on an Instagram page, and that is where Squarespace comes into play. They first of all want to give you 10% off of your first website or domain by going to squarespace.com/outbreak, and it gives you 10% off for your first purchase of a website or domain. But Squarespace not only makes it easy for anybody to design a website, get a shop going, whatever you're doing, whatever you're hustling for, Squarespace is there to meet you and be able to make it that much easier for you. They have design intelligence because, not everybody has the best taste. I myself am included. There are many times where I've looked at something and been like, that looks great. I show it to 5 other people. They're like, that looks terrible. So design intelligence is a feature that Squarespace has to be able to suggest ideas for you to make your thing look even better than you could possibly imagine. And on top of that, they got Squarespace payments. So you're able to set up shop and then take payments from like Klarna, direct debit, ACH, Apple Pay, Afterpay. It just makes it so much easier for people to transact with you. And after all, that is what we're trying to do when we're like playing in bands and selling merch and stuff like that. So anyways, you get it, and you need to hop on the Squarespace train. So again, for 10% off your first website or domain, go to squarespace.com/outbreak, and you will be able to enjoy the fruitful benefits of the partnership with Squarespace like we have. So everybody wins. Thank you, Squarespace.
This is a random question, but one that I think you would enjoy answering, and also would tell people about yourself. So if I were to wake up tomorrow, give you $1 million, $1 billion, whatever, just a lot of money.
Million and a billion are quite different.
Massively.
The world has to know the difference between million. So then we might be a little more worried about
multiple zeros. Yeah.
Okay.
The number.
Which is it? Million or billion?
Well, let's say billion.
Okay.
The money is less important once you realize the question. If you were to open up your own sort of retail establishment, doesn't necessarily have to sell goods or services, or sell goods. You can be services. What would you sell? What would you open up this space to be?
Huh.
I know.
With $1 billion?
Or $1 billion. It isn't like, again, the money is less.
Yeah. Okay. You know what I've always actually wanted to do, and I just don't have. I don't have the money.
Yeah.
You know what pisses me? Listen, it's okay if you were born into love.
Yeah.
I want the world to know that.
Totally fine.
I'm not. Yeah. Some like cultural revolution Maoist, let's kill the landlords, type of.
Yep.
Okay. However, when you're born into it, you got it, and you got the safety net. Put it around a little bit more for something for the community. If I had more money, one thing I've always wanted to do is open up like a
youth center called Youth to Youth. Okay. Which was the name of this. It was going to be the name of a Clear LP that has come to fruition. We wrote the song and lyrics and everything. Yeah. But when I started going to shows in 1999, I was amazed that I could be 14 and book a show. Sure. And at the end of the night, have a couple $1,000. I was 14 or 15 and be like, I'm in charge. It was so empowering, but it was because the local AA center wasn't even a community center. The local AA center was like, we are happy. We don't I show. They're like, yeah, $50 to book a show. I was like, really? They're like, yeah. And they didn't talk to me, and I was like, okay, I guess I'm in charge here. It was so empowering. I wanted, bringing people together for music and to be young and doing that, and it made me think I can go I can do things and I can go out there.
Yeah.
But then, like, so the idea of being like book shows, like you can book shows, like you can do that. That's awesome. But you could be a kid and do it. And like, if you're a kid, you know, you're going to have like the booking agents, like not giving you attention. So what ends up happening is
those assholes won't fucking like give you the time of day because you're fucking 14 or 15. Like many of them didn't give me the time of day.
Of course.
I wanted to have Bane play and like, no, Bane didn't have a booking agent. Maybe they had a booking agent, but I remember like, there was like this
guy who now works at the fucking Clear Channel Live Nation or whatever.
Sure.
And I remember him like, the New Bedford was the place to play. And, in Mass at the time, and we was doing a Bane show, and he wanted to do it in New Bedford, and like my band, the Action Takers, was like the local yokels, and like, sure. I was like, and I asked like, would it be all right if my band played? Like, he was like, no. I'm like, what the fuck? You brought in all these bands weren't even from from New Bedford.
Anyway, I digress. But had it been more youth oriented, it would have been like, yeah, let's get some more younger kids on this shit.
Yep.
So like
the
idea of like, you know, you book your shows, but also like
one of the major problems with being in a band, like truly, like Fiddlehead, done a lot in a span of 5 years. Yep. Like we put out essentially three LPs in 5 years. That was basically because we all lived in the same state. Now we all like, we're pretty spread across. So like, we're not breaking up, but like, I don't know, like, when are we going to write? Fiddlehead is a completely unintentional band. Like, there's no goal there. It's just play, write, play. Yep. But proximity is huge, and access to like tools are so huge. And so I remember what was a huge struggle in the early days of Have Heart was like, none of us had cars because we didn't have our license. So like, we had to get one person, a parent to drive here, a parent to drive there, you know, like, and it was just like, you know, there's all these things preventing us from just making something happen.
And then like, I remember that just slowing everything down. But what was huge for Have Heart and just sort of making it easier, like we were doing the practice space game or like, and that was like, you have to rent a space, you have to pay the rent, you share with other bands. The bands are like, no, we're practicing there. I can't use our equipment. It's like, it's a nightmare. And it makes you just go, I don't even want to be in a band. And then we found this place, which is, I think, a little bit more common now, where it's like, there's like 6 different studios and you go in, there's always equipment there. You don't have to have it. You just use it there. You go in and you're good. And like, you work on it and then you go home and like, you know, like, and then so there was some setup where it was like a place with like 6 studios in it. Yep. And like in the back is like,
not like, well, it's like a stage, of course, like, but a venue hall where would be like a rotating, like one thing that's like venue size and proximity is so huge. We really wanted to play inside Have Heart because it just feels tighter. You're on the outdoor shows, we're not a huge fan. Nobody really is because it just feels so. It's not as intimate and packed in.
Yep.
The sound doesn't bounce off the walls. You just kind of feel it's harder to feel immersed on the outdoor thing.
Yep.
So, like, but then there's also like just the reality of like, you know, like getting the right people and like, is there enough people here? So it's like
all that stuff can be sorted with the right, like, just the right thinking, the logistics. And so like to avoid, so if like you do a show and it's like, yeah, imagining at this youth center,
of course,
you know, 20 kids show up. Well, that's not a lot. Fuck. Well, the cool thing at the youth to youth center,
right,
is that there's like, and this, I've seen it before, like schools in the
70s and 80s did this thing. They got rid of walls and like these giant classes, but there would be these like hard vinyl plastic like dividers.
Yes.
And they could rotate. And my vision is like, you know, there's a divider for like, all right, so there's only 20 people here, then let's get the fucking tight like the close to the stage. There was this place in Boston for a bit called the Boiler Room. Our friend Angela Owens would take pictures there. And they would look so
fucking insane. Pure Disgust would play there. There's a Firewalker would play there. It would look unbelievably insane. Walk in the room. I shit you not. You can't fit more than 20 people in it. But
it was just like this, oh my God.
Right.
You know, like, it would just feel intense because like the forum, like, you know, like really kind of gave that feeling. So you can kind of construct that. And it's like, oh, you have more than 25? Well, we got
we got 50.
Yeah, we got the big room.
Let's put up the 50 divider. Okay, we got 75. Let's do the 75. Like, you know, you could do that to kind of feel it packed, you know, like to feel in there, like in there. And for me, that would skirt with the problem of like capacity issues. Listen, I got to tell everybody out there, before COVID, like capacity in fire code, like no one paid attention to it in hardcore. But suddenly now,
everyone's like just this like loyal stooge to the fire code state. Yes, safety matters, but like if you got with capacity, a 350 cap like fire code capacity can fit 700 people in it.
Yep.
I've been to those places. I saw Bane like in like Stop and Think play in halls that like fire code was literally 10 people. And there were 300 people in the room. It was like, it's just packed and it's like, it's unforgettable. And everyone was okay. Everyone was fine. But this little dividers thing allows for, you know, fire marshal comes in, you know,
well, we got the divider. Okay. And we'll get rid of the divide. But like, you know, that would be, if I had all the money,
that's the scale.
That's what I would do.
I absolutely
and so throughout the week when there's no shows,
yeah,
it's like a youth center. You come in and like, you know, you got the place to, you know, you can work synths, tables and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And there would be like an area, you know, just selling literature and like maybe something like that. And then like, you know, like throughout, if there's a show booked, but you know, it's ideally booked. It doesn't have to be just by kids.
Yep.
You know, because
but it's a learning ground. You can book your own shows. I think it's a fucking great idea.
Yeah,
but I don't come from money, Ray.
I know. And that's why I'm giving you the fictional $1 billion.
Yeah, it would be amazing. I just, you know,
I like it.
I think it being,
and also like kind of like a nationwide organization, you know? So it's like, there's like you're going from state to state, you're doing a tour, and it's like, oh, we're doing a YTY show here. Okay, so that one's free on there. And like bands kind of go through the circuits and like,
right.
It's just be organized. Like,
I love it.
It's not impossible, but
no, but yeah,
I don't have any fucking money. You know, as a public school teacher, I'm not exactly like, let's just say my portfolio isn't impressive.
Your 401k is you can't pull from that. That's for your children, obviously.
Yes.
The last thing I wanted to hit on, which is kind of obviously you've been a teacher for many years, but when Have Heart was obviously getting out there touring as much, you guys were relentless in regards to the touring you were doing. Obviously everybody in the band, including yourself, was doing these gigs, side hustles, whatever, to where it's like, once we're off tour, we're going to do our jobs or whatever.
Yeah, I had some of those.
Exactly. Yeah. So I was going to ask you, what was reflecting back on that, what was your favorite thing that was able to help you continue to tour?
I don't know if it was a favorite thing.
Okay, but a thing.
There was this place called Guideline in Boston.
Okay.
That every touring punk and hardcore kid would go to. It almost was like this
corporate marketing research firm. Okay. It's just like keeping the punk and hardcore scene alive. And you would go, marketing research is a fancy way of saying I was a telemarketer. And I would call people up. I would do surveys on the town, but I was a robot. I would have to like read from a script. But every kid was wearing like, you know, like Nana's the Bastard shirts, or like, you know, I was there in my Youth of Today shirts. It was like,
but then there would be like people who had been there for a while, and it was like, it was a good job, you know, like but when the recession hit in 2008, it complicated those things. But by 2009, this is a fun story about that. So
yes,
I had the last Have Heart tour in 2009. I was trying to be smart about my college loans. And so every single penny that I made on that, I just like off that tour, I just put it, I got home from it September 2009, just in Boston, it's a college city. So like everyone like moves into a new apartment then. I paid off all my college loans for that tour. And I paid my entire year's rent. And I was like going to be applying. My plan was to apply to grad school and then work at Guideline because it was still around. This is like September 2008. So it's about it like 6 or 7 months after the recession really hit. And so I like emptied my bank account and I was like, I'm going to have income from Guideline and it's a job that I can have while I'm in grad school.
Yep.
And I like one fucking month after like Howard was just done. You know, I was back at Guideline, just like applying to graduate school. They bring us into the break room. Like, hey, we just want to let you know that like the recession has finally come to consume our company Guideline. So this is it.
Yeah.
And I was like, is it? Like, we're done here? I literally, like, a month ago, emptied my bank account. We're just done here? And they're like, yeah, you don't, like now. I was like halfway through the work days. I was like, oh, fuck. I was like, God damn it. Well, like, you know, maybe I could get a job. And I was just like, I remember walking back to my apartment and there was nobody hiring. It was just, truly, I mean, it was bad. Like the local movie theater in Coolidge Corner in Brooklyn was straight up like allowing people during the day who had been unemployed just watch free movies. Pete's Coffee across the street selling bagels for 50 cents. I had $0. The only thing that I had for me was that I had paid off my year's
You're debt
rent.
free, right?
Every single day I was applying to get a job and I was like, fuck. Like, I have no money.
Right.
And there's nowhere to, and I just broke up the band. Like, that was like my income for a bit.
It was, I wasn't destitute at all. I think the last time we were on your podcast, we talked about money.
Yeah. I think so.
And I was talking about,
I remember I was like, I was glad that I articulated what I said. I said something along the lines of like having success in hardcore is like, it sucks because there's this hey, like there's this idea that you're swimming in cash,
Yeah.
because your band has done well, but like you're not.
No.
You split it 5 ways, you get fucking taxed. Like, some of it goes to the venue, which is super cool. And now my favorite is like, you know, God bless our merch people. You know, we have done roadies on tours and like that, but like, you know, tips, another COVID thing. Tipping is like crazy in the States.
It's insane.
And for a band like Fiddlehead, it makes no sense because like we don't do long tours. You know, if you're grinding with the band for like month to month, you're in the band and you're slinging the merch. It's like a day out suffering. But with Fiddlehead, we do like Weekend Warrior stuff. Kid you not, we did a Texas weekend, and our merch guy, who was like my best friend, literally made more than me on tips. And like, I was like, "There's something wrong
Yeah,
here."
you're like, this seems weird. This seems unbalanced.
I'm in the band. And the guy, and so like, I remember like, I would be like, can we be rational, reasonable that like I'm almost certain that the tips, like in the mind of the person, they're not being like, you know what, this guy who just went like this and grabbed a shirt deserves 100% of the, and what, tipping's great, like, cool.
Of course.
But like, some people are tipping like $10 fucking dollars. I mean, like the shirt costs like 20, like you're giving a third. Thanks. But are you intending to give 100% of that tip to the guy who literally just went, what do you want, medium? All right. Yeah, thanks. Yeah, you can swipe right here.
Yeah. And it's like you almost want a voting where it's just like, who's this going to? Tip person, guitarist, singer.
Oh, well, that was the thing, because it happened in Havar.
Yeah.
One of our merch guys had a huge display that said tips here, and he made more than us at a show, a chain reaction with time.
Oh, yeah.
And we were like, why is our merch guy making more money than us on this thing? And he had a big display of those, it was like tip here, but now with I can't stand it I'll go to like a corporate coffee shop.
Yeah.
And it's really fucked up, I gotta say. Like, I'm not like destitute,
yeah,
but I don't have a lot of money. And they do this thing now where like, the little, the
kiosk.
The kiosk. But people got to be real about this for a second, because not only are they like, I love it how they're like, it's going to ask you a question.
Right. It's
like, as if you don't know what question it's asking. You know that the question is, do you want to give me more of your money?
Of course. I better see you getting that top on. Yeah.
Like, let's not fucking futz around here. We know what your question it's going to ask me.
Yeah. It's not a surprise.
It's not like, hey, here's a random question. What's your favorite color? Like,
right.
You know what?
Red. Yeah.
Yeah. So, you know what you're going to ask me. Let's not joke around here. And so but then there's the thing, if you're standing in line, there's another person who you don't even know waiting right there. And so they flip it around, and then that person is in full view of how fucking cheap you are.
Of course.
And so then you're like, well, this person might think.
The societal pressure. Yeah.
Yeah. So what I say now, especially if it's like a corporate, like, I don't need Starbucks asking me, sorry.
Yeah.
Do you want to give us some more money?
Yeah. You're like, I think you're fine.
Yeah. So, and like, it's unclear if it's like going to that person, but it's also like, so what I now just say, especially when they say, it's going to ask you a question. I say, I'm broke right now. I say that to, I look them in the eyes and I say, I'm broke right now. Can't.
Yeah.
And they always go, oh, we're so sorry. And I'm like, can we just be fucking real? Basically what you're doing, because this fucking kiosk thing, is you're going like this. Do you want to put money in here? Do you want to put money in here? Like, do you want to put more money, or do you not have enough money to put it there?
Yeah.
Oh
God.
Here in the UK, you got it figured out. Yeah, wages could be higher always, but the tip thing is just.
Yeah, it's a little much.
I understand. I'm glad we hit on a nerve there.
Yeah, I wanted to get that
let's
out.
get this out. Yeah.
But if I had the money,
yeah,
I would. If whoever has money, if you're listening,
yes,
I think it's a fucking great idea.
It is a great idea.
And I don't know.
Let's start this. Might as well.
Cool.
Well, Patrick, you're always a great hang. I love hanging out.
Yeah, that's always good talking. I mean, we were talking before this interview started.
Exactly. That's how we do. But yeah, I'll do the official late night handshake.
Yeah.
Thing.
Yeah. Thanks.